Hey everyone, in this video I want to talk about designing your job around your life and not your life around your job. For those of you new to this channel, I'm Vivian. I've been to 61 countries since the age of 5, and on this channel I share what I've learned from a decade of solo travel. As a full-time traveler, I get asked a lot about how to make this last forever, how to make a living, how to take your work offline, and I realized I do what I do now for work, which is teach English remotely online, setting my own hours and setting my own rate, because I was traveling first, decided I didn't want to stop, and then found ways to sustain myself from the life I was already living. Society often teaches us to gun it towards getting a good job, going to the right university, picking your field, and tying yourself down basically to your career, which is often very location tied. We're programmed like this from a young age, so most people don't even realize that they really want to travel with a lot more of their life than they are until they're very established in a career that's kind of fixed in place, or they would have to give up a lot. Let's say they have a lot of expenses already, and trying to shift careers is a lot more difficult than if you kind of start with a clean slate. First step to designing your career around your life is to strip away everything in your mind and think about what you actually want. This is something that is so obvious, it's said time and time again, but very few people sit down and think about it very seriously because they underestimate how important it actually is for everything else in your life. I would say a great way to do it is just to take some time when you feel good, maybe after a cup of coffee, take a blank sheet of paper and write it all down. It's much more satisfying to write with ink and paper than just to type in Google Docs or something. Think about your ideal day. I get really detailed, and for me, some things I've written down are waking up to the ocean view, cuddling with my significant other, brewing myself a fresh cup of coffee with my own espresso machine, using almond milk, and having fun with the latte art on a flat white. None of these things of which I own right now. I'm just trying to design the life I want first. Writing all morning, going for a sunset surf later, eating really good food from around the world like steamed white fish, olive oil, and in the summer times a glass of really nice dry white wine, cold. Those are the kinds of details you want to really get into so that you really start visualizing where this is all going. I currently live in a place where there's expats or expatriates from all over the world, so long-term foreigners staying in my city in Vietnam. There are so many of us, and I would say the three main jobs that we have to sustain our lives out here are teaching English, whether that's online remotely or teaching in a school with children in Vietnam, being a YouTuber, and then being an IT software engineer, programmer, whatever you want to call it. Those three are by far the vast majority of what people do. Other than that, there's just so many things I've seen. Everyone's got something figured out, and you don't have to just do one thing to earn. I know people who are online couples therapists, online nutritionists, I've met podcasters. There's really so many things that you kind of figure out once you just get started and you're in this environment. My favorite channel for describing how to move between careers is Nisha. She really helped me build myself up as a remote worker. The second thing I want to say about designing your job around your life and not the other way around is that your time is way more valuable than your money. I started traveling 10 years ago because I just made my first $100,000 as an 18-year-old, and I could save a lot of it. I made a whole separate video on that right here. I was going on trips on every long weekend and break that I had throughout university. All of my friends looked up to me. They wanted to do the same thing, but their number one reason for not joining me, for not coming with me, was because they couldn't afford it. Fast forward 10 years, I would say all of them have far more money than I do. We were all in the US with a life really tied in the US. You've got so many expenses. I hear a lot of complaints lately about car insurance, about the price of chocolate chips in the grocery store. It's not like having more money is going to solve your problems. I'm still the only one out of everyone I know personally from my original communities back home that's doing what I do, which is just living the life of a full-time traveler that can go wherever I want, whenever I want. I've not been in the US for 7 years, and I'm trying to experiment with how that's going to change me. At the beginning of this journey, I met someone who recently left their corporate job doing IT for big companies in Europe, and they told me that what really pushed them over the edge is that they got 1 month off every year. And for Americans, that's going to sound like a lot, but they got 1 month off every year. They realized they could keep working and giving their life to this company full time. It would take them 12 years to travel 12 months. or they could just leave now and travel for 12 months in 1 year. If you get 1 month off a year, then you can travel for 1 month every year. So to travel 1 year, that would be 12 months. Then if you're employed, 12 months go by. Again, I'm not saying you should be unemployed. I'm just saying there's so many other ways to be employed now, and that field is only growing. And the last thing I want to say about time versus money, and time far outweighing money, is that places change. I don't want to give anyone pressure, but if something is really important to you, don't always put it off for someday, one day, next time. The glaciers are melting, places are getting very viral and crowded, and just the whole landscape of a famous spot or a dream destination is always changing. There's always going to be something else for you, but it's not like you're going to be able to go to where you think you are going to exactly the same way. And the third important thing about designing your source of income around your life and not vice versa is how little it matters what other people think of you. There's an anonymous concept that's been going around a lot, and it says there's only 2 people that you need to please. That's going to be your 8-year-old self and your 80-year-old self. The 8-year-old self is a limitless dreamer. You're imaginative. You believe in magic. There's no end to your power. You thought of everything. You had way more ideas for what your life could look like. Your 80-year-old self wants to see that you lived life fully and true to yourself with no regrets. So you want to combine these 2 concepts to believe and never stop believing when a lot of people around you don't believe in you and tell you to stop believing because they stop believing in themselves. To just fight and go against that grain, combining belief with living fully. And for many people that does mean travel. To combine those 2 things is very important, and then everything else is just noise. In the book The Top 5 Regrets of the Dying, the author Bronnie Ware interviewed people in their last 3 to 12 weeks of life because they were terminally ill, and the number 1 regret that kept being repeated through all of her subjects was that they wished that they had lived a life more true to themselves. Followed behind that was that they wish they hadn't worked so hard. So I think sometimes we just have this routine where we just go with our jobs because we're focused on that paycheck and that promotion, that we forget working in a system that was hand-fed to us doesn't actually mean that much at the end of your day or at the end of your life. A big influential character on me was Jim Rogers, because as a teenager I was handed his book that was called A Gift to My Children, and he just wanted to really impart to his daughters that when he was young he worked hard and got really into business and investing. Now he's a billionaire because of the why. His why was like he wanted nothing more than to travel. So it wasn't about how he did it or what he was doing. He just wanted to make sure that one day he could travel the whole world and be free. And he's very clear with his daughters in this book to do what they loved and to enjoy the process along the way, to not just follow his footsteps or do what someone else told him to do. He said be different, and his example was only for himself, that he just wanted to travel the world. Of course that aligns with a lot of us on this channel, but you know, that can look like anything for anyone. And finally, not caring at all about what others think is a core part of therapy, because you don't actually know what other people think. My first therapist taught me about what she called were purple thoughts, and she wanted me to do an action every time she caught me having a purple thought. Purple thoughts are irrational thinking that can't be true. I decided that I would hug myself every time I was mind reading, basically deciding what other people were thinking about me or judging about me in my mind, and I don't know if they actually were or not, and it doesn't matter if they actually were or not. Another one is catastrophizing, like imagining how things are going to end poorly when they're probably not going to end like that and you don't know. Some other examples of purple thoughts were black and white thinking, even though life is often more gray. So I really hope that all of this helped, that you click off of this video with the confidence and the belief in yourself again to do whatever you need to do next. You can live the life you really want to live. I hope you enjoyed it and have a good day.